Hey guys, for the first 24 hours of this video going live, we are giving away a 50% discount to the gunfire pack that is featured in the sketch you've just seen and this tutorial. Click the link in the description or up here to follow through and get your offer. Now, over to Zach.
Hello everyone, I'm Zach Allen from the YouTube channel, Zach Allen Productions. Today I'll be showing you how to create realistic gunfiring effects using HitFilm. These effects can be created for free in Express, if you are using stock footage for your muzzle flashes. But I'll be using HitFilm's gunfire effect, which requires the 3D gunfire add-on. Start by making your footage into a composite shot. Go to the frame where you want the muzzle flash to appear. Add a new point layer, positioning it over the tip of the gun. Enable keyframing for the point's position so it can be animated. Scrub the timeline to the next frame where the gun is fired and reposition the point. Repeat for the rest of the gunshots. We don't want the point sliding between these positions, so select the keyframes and set the type to constant. If your footage contains a rapid firing gun requiring many muzzle flashes, I suggest using HitFilm's motion tracking tools to automatically track the tip of the gun. Click the card on screen to learn more about tracking. Now that the footage is tracked, we can begin adding the effects. I'll be using HitFilm's gunfire effect to create the muzzle flashes. The more traditional approach would be to use stock footage, but this technique is often limited by the angle the stock was shot at. The gunfire effect in HitFilm is fully 3D, meaning it can be rotated to match whatever angle you throw at it. It also allows you to dial in the exact look you are going for with the many different controls. I chose to use the pistol low light preset and adjusted some of the appearance options. We want the flash to be different every time it appears, so animate the seed property over the whole shot. Parent this layer to the point and adjust the position and rotation to match that of the gun. Then adjust the scale to make the flash a realistic size. Or go crazy and create a flamethrower. The choice is yours. You may want to animate the 3D rotation of the effect so it lines up with the gun on every gunshot. Animate the active property so the muzzle flashes only appear on the correct frames. If the frame rate of your footage is around 24 to 30 FPS, the muzzle flashes should each appear for a single frame. I used one of the M16 presets for the assault rifle, and animated the active settings so the flashes would appear whenever the practical light flashed. You can also adjust the rate of fire option if you want randomized automatic firing. With the basic muzzle flashes in place, we can now add some additional effects to make them look even better. I ended up using 3 different heat distortion effects, each with different scale and distortion settings to break up the shape of the flashes and add more detail. I also increased the animation speed of the distortion so every frame would look different. The video footage has a decent amount of motion blur on the gun, so we should replicate this on our muzzle flashes. I did this with a zoom blur effect with the center position set behind the flashes. You can also add additional blur effects to soften the flash if it seems too sharp. The muzzle flashes don't seem to blend very well with the footage, so I'll duplicate the layer and set the blend mode to add. Without the layer underneath, the effect looks too transparent. However, it is now too bright, so adjust the opacity of the layers until it looks right. When adjusting the brightness of your muzzle flashes, keep in mind the surrounding environment of your footage. This video clip was filmed indoors and the lighting is pretty dim, meaning that a muzzle flash would likely appear quite bright and overexposed. If your scene takes place outside on a sunny day, the flashes would be much less visible and not overexposed like this. Unless, of course, you want your muzzle flashes to be as bright as the sun. The choice is yours. Another detail to add to these gunshots is a puff of smoke following each muzzle flash. This can be done using the quick 3D smoke effect. I adjusted the settings to be the right size and density. then animated the position to start at the gun and fly off screen over a few frames. Trim this layer to appear only when it should be on screen, then enable motion blur to enhance the quick movement. Duplicate the layer and adjust the position to match the other gunshots. One very important detail to make the muzzle flashes feel like they are really a part of the scene is to add interactive lighting. This can be done on set with a practical light, like with the assault rifle clip, or it can be done digitally. To create this effect, duplicate the footage layer and set the blend mode to color dodge. This already brightens up the image, but to make the color match the muzzle flashes, add a hue colorize effect. Now you can add multiple masks to this layer, so it only shows up where the muzzle flash would cast light. Make sure the masks have a large feather so the edges aren't noticeable. Enable keyframing for each mask's path, then adjust the shapes on each of the muzzle flash frames. You can even use some additional masks set to subtract to further control where the light appears. Lower the opacity of the masks farther away from the flash to make the lighting appear dimmer. Animate this layer's opacity down to 0 whenever a flash is not on screen. Something else you can do to add even more life to the effect is to add the reflection of the muzzle flashes in your actor's eyes. To do this, I created a new black plane and added a fractal noise effect, adjusting the settings to create small blob shapes the same color as the muzzle flashes. I set the blend mode to add, masked the layer to appear over one of the eyes, and animated the position. I then duplicated this layer, moved it over the other eye, and adjusted the mask and the position keyframes. Often when a pistol is fired, there's a quick motion of the slide moving backwards and forwards. A similar action can be seen when the pistol is loaded. Some high-quality props do this when the trigger is pulled, adding to the realism. This prop does not, however, so we can create a similar effect in HitFilm. Go to a frame where the gun is fired, then export the frame and re-import it onto the timeline. Add a mask to isolate only the sliding part of the pistol. Then move the layer backwards along the gun. Add an angle blur effect, matching the angle of the motion to create motion blur. This effect isn't entirely realistic, as a different part of the gun would be visible when the slide moves out of the way. However, it happens so quickly that our effect gives the illusion that the pistol's slide is actually sliding. Repeat this process for the other gunshots. Finally, the finishing touch to this gunfiring effect is to add bullet shells ejecting from the pistol. Action VFX is a great resource for high-quality stock footage, and they have provided some great bullet shell assets for free on their website, link in the description. Once you have downloaded your free assets, bring a bullet shell clip onto the timeline. Position, rotate, and scale it into place where the shell would be ejected from the pistol. I chose to adjust the brightness and contrast so the shells would fit into the scene better. Over a few frames, animate the layer to fly off screen. Move the layer upwards in between the two keyframes to create an arc in the motion. Also make sure to enable motion blur. Duplicate the layer, move it along the timeline to the next flash, then adjust the position keyframes. Try to vary the motion a little so the shells don't seem to follow the exact same path. This variation is especially important for rapid-firing weapons. And that's how you can create your own gun-firing effects in HitFilm. Feel free to explore the project file provided in the video description, and to leave a comment if you have any questions or if you learned something new. There are several other videos on this channel about creating muzzle flashes, how to film with prop guns, and more, so make sure to check those out as well. Subscribe for more tutorials like this, and be sure to give this video a like. See you next time!